Hey everybody, here we are. We are live again. I'm here with Dan Ball tonight, and we are
What?
here to talk about Kass McQuillen tonight. We're talking about Survivor Second Chances, and this is our first of 20 podcasts that we're going to do on each individual player on this season 31. Um, and we're going to be talking about Survivor Kass McQuillen tonight. And Dan, we'll start with you. You're a big Cass McQuillen fan, big Chaos Cass fan, so we'll let you start just on an overall perspective of what you think about Cass.
Well, first off, really excited I get to talk about Cass here. Uh, can't wait to get into it because I'm a huge fan. She's an awesome character in Survivor history, and one thing I think Cass gets bad-mouthed a lot for is the moves she's made in the game, and I'm not really here to defend them because I don't think they worked out for her in the end, but I can't
Almost,
argue. You
almost.
can't argue that she was a very entertaining player, and in second chances, I'm hoping to see more of the same. But if she's only there for one or two votes, how entertaining is she going to be, and how much conflict can she really cause if they decide it's really not worth keeping around someone like a Chaos Cast? Because one thing I think you can really peg her on is that she's unpredictable. So like that she is unpredictable, but will players want to gamble with that or not? I don't know. We'll find out when she hits the beach. Well, she already did, but we'll find out when we get to see her hit the beach. And
Right.
I'm curious to see how people will perceive her, if they're going to see her as a threat just for her unpredictability, or as someone they can kind of navigate around and maybe get to the end.
Yeah, I think she's going to be someone that's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, I think she's got like a wide range of outcomes for her game. I think she could be someone that's an early boot if she's on a tribe that loses a lot of challenges early on. I think if she gets herself into some confrontations early on, I think she could get herself in trouble. And she just has that perception of being someone that's just going to mess stuff up really quick. Um,
Hmm.
so there's a lot of things going against her, but there's also some things where if she can find a couple people to work with and she lands in her tribe that does do well, and she doesn't rock the boat too early, and she adjusts a little bit. I mean, she could go deep, and if she does make a couple moves that are questionable, I mean, she could be perceived kind of the way she was perceived and Kagayan is, a potential goat that someone could take to the end. And so, I mean, if she makes the merge and then she starts and she's playing similarly to the way that she played in Kagayan, I could easily see her uh, making another deep run for sure. And if this ends up being like a normal, more recent season with a final three, I mean, I could easily see her sitting in that final tribal council. Though I wouldn't mind seeing her as a jury member again. Just I'd love to see her fiery and pissed off and angry, berating some other castaways on the jury. I think that'd be great TV as well. So, what do you say we talk a little bit about her game in Cagayan now? Just so we get an idea of what she's going to be bringing to the table. What did she bring to the table last time, and do we think we're going to see that um, come to this game, and what kind of adjustments we think she may or may not make, and if she can make any adjustments, or are they just going to be things that she's going to be, just personality traits that she's just going to not be able to, really get rid of. Um, so Dan, let's talk about Cagayan a little bit, and just from Cass's perspective and some of those moves she made, all the way going back to the very beginning of Cagayan. She's on the Luzon tribe, the Brains tribe this season with Braun, Brains, Beauty. She's on that tribe with David Sampson, Jatia, Garrett, Spencer, Tasha, and I don't think I'm missing anyone. I think, and then her. Um, so just going into that first episode, that season premiere, it was basically two votes, two tribals. Uh, Dan, let's talk through that first episode and just the chaos that ensued in those first couple tribals and what Cass's parts in those.
Yeah, that's a great premiere episode. Probably one of the best, top five at least for me. And Kass, she wasn't very involved in that first vote. Kind of, if I remember correctly, she wasn't really a big part going into that vote. Kind of downplayed a little bit. It was more David Sampson versus Garrett, and she was kind of on the wrong side of that. But coming into the next vote, you kind of see her not really settle for where she was, and she knew she was in an okay spot in between the numbers. And I think the sign of an okay to good player is being able to recognize where you're at in certain spots in the game. And Kass is decent at recognizing where the numbers are and how she can use it to her advantage at certain points of time. And you saw her do it early on in Cagayan when you kind of had the Jatia, Kass, uh, blanking on the name. Oh, Tasha, sorry. And then Garrett and Spencer. And Kass kind of did get free reign there after some poor play from Garrett, kind of putting the lockdown, putting everyone in strategic prison per se, and saying you cannot go and talk. That opened up the door for Kass to kind of make a move. She saw her opportunity there, and early on she was not afraid to get her hands dirty per se and mix it up. And I'd love to see her do something similar if she's afforded the space, but it's tougher with 10 people on your tribe. With 6 people and then 5 people on that vote, you're afforded a little more freedom to play the game. And she won't be afforded that freedom early on here. She's got to find a way to get into the numbers.
Yeah, and so that first tribal council, she was on the wrong side of the numbers, if I remember correctly. I believe it was a 4-2 vote, and it was her and David Sampson on one side. David got blindsided. She gets blindsided. It seems like she's going to be the next one to go, and then when Garrett puts that strategic lockdown on early, after they lose that second immunity challenge, things shift a bit. And the girls, they flip on the guys there, and they vote out Garrett. And
legend has it, Garrett Seidel still walks the beach to this day.
Yeah.
No, I was just kidding.
And it's and so I mean, she did a very good job of just being able to flip, get herself into a good position in that game, and jump into a spot where she could be back in the numbers, be back in control, and fortunately, moving forward before the tribe swap, she was lucky to have they go on to win the next immunity challenge in the Cops R Us episode with the third vote out. That's where Bryce goes home. They win that immunity challenge, and then they go into that next immunity, and she's in a good spot to where they've got somebody, and either like Jatia, who went nutso and threw out the rice and dumped the rice in the fire, and then Spencer, who's the last guy on the tribe, someone where she's really dictating who's going to be going home with Tasha at that point, where she had that early fall in that first vote, but she recovered really well, got herself in a position of power in that tribe, and really put herself in a position to where she had she wasn't in danger of going home at that third tribal council, where Jatia finally ends up going home. And she played a very, very big role in that. I think she did very well in that early portion of the game, going into the tribe swap. That's another word. Tribe swap. So now going into that tribe swap, where they became the Solana and the Apari tribe. Which tribe she ended up? She ended up on the I'm blanking now. She ended up on the Apari tribe.
Yep.
With Spencer, Tasha, Jeremiah, Morgan, Sarah, and Alexis. So talk to me a little bit about just how she responded at that, just her game a little bit at the swap. Still pre-merge. And just talk to me about how you think she played it coming into the swap and moving into the merge.
Just going back for a second though, the Luzon Immunity Challenge win ranks up there for greatest challenge celebrations of all time.
Oh,
They
for sure.
acted like they won the World Series. Confetti fell. It was amazing. But going to the swap, Kass was in an interesting spot where she was swapped with her entire tribe, which is basically a built-in alliance if you're the Brains tribe. And if you're the Beauty tribe, it was total chaos. And it worked into the Brains tribe's hands. Chaos Kass, Tasha Fox, Spencer, who ironically are all back for second chances, they managed to use the numbers to their advantage by finding the weak links. And Kass, I don't know how big of a part Kass played in that. It seemed like it was the brains working in unison a little bit. I think credit has to go to all three of them. Spencer seemed to be, especially on the Alexis vote off, Spencer seemed to be spearheading that a little bit. So Kass did a good job though of not like having a beauty implosion, keeping the brains together and really riding that out to her benefit. And going into the merge, Kass was in a really good spot. She wasn't a threat to really anyone, wasn't an immunity threat, and at this point, she hadn't really pissed too many people off. She had her moments, but I think like we hadn't really seen the true Chaos Kass yet. The one that made Tony speak llama, that had not yet surfaced.
Yeah, I think Cass, and I think the Brains tribe in general got really, really lucky with the fact that the Beauty tribe just self-destructed.
Oh, they
You know,
totally exploded.
they had that high school popular kid mentality where they found out that there was some rumor going about, and they all about the three of them, and they all had to like go sell each other out, and one by one, whether it was Morgan or Jeremiah or Alexis, they all sold the other ones down the river, and the Brains tribe didn't even have to do anything. And then they got lucky to where they were able to pick up Sarah as that fourth, to where even if the Beauties wanted to do or even showed some sign of functionality as a tribe, they still were going to have that number. So I think they did really good at not moving too early. And just sitting and waiting for the other people to come to them, and they really lucked out that all the Beauties, just like I said, they kind of just sold each other down the river, and it made them put them in a really good position, especially going into that, because they you see Cliff grow on that first tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
They put that blind side in, and then Lindsay quits right after. And then they go into that final tribal where Solana comes back and wins. This is where we see, the Tony screaming top five, baby. And you see Sarah kind of, freaking out a little bit and realizing, okay, I need to stick with these guys. I need to make sure that I've got some kind of, solid alliance in case, I'm not in with Tony anymore. And it really solidified that number for him, at least, for a couple days, and it was a 6-1 vote off of Alexis. She's completely blindsided. She goes out in tears, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
Really broken up about it. So now we're gonna go into the merge, and we merge here. Episode 7, Head of the Snake. No reward challenge. Wu wins immunity. But let's talk a little bit about Chaos Kass here at the merge, because this is, I think, when she really, really starts to, wear that Chaos Kass moniker.
Yeah, this is where she grabs it. This is where she really grabs the bull by the horns and seizes the day.
So let's talk about the her budding relationship with Sarah. And her
romance,
her
tragic romance. I think Shakespearean, like almost.
Absolutely, between Sarah and not only Sarah but her and Tasha too.
A love triangle.
Yeah, let's jump into that.
A triangle of hate mostly, but a triangle nonetheless.
So yeah, let's jump into that. Dan, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Let's talk about the conversations that were going on with Sarah, wanting to command the action, and how Kass really felt about that.
I really think you saw not only Kass really come in to her own as a character, but for better or worse, you kind of saw the flaws in her character here as well. And it all starts with kind of the passive aggressiveness with Sarah on the beach, kind of getting upset at when Sarah kind of tells Kass that she feels she's bullying her a little bit, and it kind of snowballs from there. This resentment over really nothing except just two women I don't think that would get along in real life or in Survivor. And they kind of, instead of having a smarter player come in and kind of put water on the fire, maybe a little surround and drown, like Jeremy would say, they didn't do that. You kind of saw that scene with Tasha on the beach, which is a really interesting scene. I think it speaks a lot to why Kass flips and why Kass is kind of flawed as a player, because she's somewhat emotional and she feels neglected
Somewhat.
here. Somewhat. She feels neglected here, like any kid would on the playground when their friends, the new kid comes in town with the nice Nikes and the FUBU sweatshirt or something. I'm dating myself a bit with that reference, but yeah, she felt neglected because all her friends they were smoozing up to Sarah. At least Tasha was in that instance, and she wanted greener pastures, and I think really an underrated play by. Oh, geez. Trish.
By Trish, yeah.
Mel Nutritia here. A really subtle, underrated play. Gets Kass to flip and make a huge move, and probably the biggest moment of a really good season.
Yeah, it was definitely the big turning point, and I don't even think it was completely Trish. I think Trish definitely helped, push her a little bit, but I really think it was Kass really feeling scorned by her alliance, whether she overreacted or not. I think it was a bad play on all three of those women, whether it be her, Sarah, and Tosh. I mean, Sarah was obviously overplaying because she wanted to be in control. She wanted to control everything. And I think Tosh was trying to, cater to that a little bit because they knew that they needed her as a number, and kind of was blowing off Kass a little bit. And while I understand what Tosh is doing, and Kass was taking it as, oh, well, you want to use her as a number. I understand you're going to cater to her, but you still need me as a number too. You should cater to me as well. Now, should Kass have maybe stayed a little more level-headed and just said, I understand what you're doing. I accept what you're doing. I'm not going to flip on you just because I'm upset of what you're doing. She definitely reacted emotionally. And it really, really, she did go to third. She probably should have gotten either first or second because, she probably should have been taken to the end by Wu. But regardless, if she goes into that final tribal council with Wu, she might win. She's very, very well spoken. But she definitely, right there, she burnt a lot of people. And, she's scoring half the jury potentially in one move, when she didn't have to. So, it's moves like that and it's things like that that make you wonder how you think that she might do in the second round, because she has these instances where she can flip on a dime just because she plays with emotion.
Is she playing to be entertaining, or is she just an emotional player making moves she thinks are the best for her? That's what I'm trying to figure out, really, and I've never really pinned it down.
Well, she gives a lot of confessionals throughout the season about, wanting to win. She's talking about wanting to take Tony to the end as a quote-unquote, as like her Russell Hantz, and I think she eventually kind of figures out that probably isn't going to work, because Tony just keeps pulling out of the, all these little, magic tricks out of his bag of tricks.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps making move after move after move, and I think eventually she sees at a point, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she still really believes that she can beat Tony in the end. But, I think that at least for a while, if she doesn't figure it out, I mean, she does perceive him, and I think she does have an eye on the prize. I think she really does want to win the game. And maybe she just doesn't see that at the time that, the way she was burning people, was going to cause her to lose a lot of jury votes. And this first move at the merge, while it was great TV, it was a great move just in terms of just entertainment purposes. And it was a great move for the people that she flipped with, for Wu, for Tony, for Trish, for LJ, for that whole group of people. It was great for them because they were dire, they were screwed, and for Kass to flip there, it burns four people. I guess technically five because she screws Sarah, and then she's pissing off Morgan, she's pissing off Jeremiah, Tasha, Spencer. That's half the jury right there, and like I said, a good entertainment move, a good TV move, but overall I think it's a bad move because she flips, burns it, and I would compare it similar to Cochran's move in South Pacific, to where if Cochran makes that flip at the merge and burns his entire tribe, and so even if he finds a way to make it to the end, he's not going to win. And I think this is a very similar move that Kass made for one reason or another. And it isn't going to work out for them. If they don't flip and they go to the end, maybe they've got a shot. But I think they're very similar moves, and I think they both had the same result that they weren't going to work out. So let's move on from that vote and move forward a little bit. I mean, the next vote was very, very straightforward. Morgan goes home. It was a 6-4 vote. Nothing really changed there.
Kass kind of got into it though, with Morgan on her way out the door, and
sure.
you really have to ask yourself why. But it makes for great TV, especially when it's someone who's gonna be right back there to give you dirty eyes the entire time you're in the game. And Morgan gave Kass some great juror looks. Probably if looks could kill, Kass would have been mutilated on her seat many times. Because not only Morgan, but Trish gave some good ones too once she was out there for the time she got to stare at Kass. But no, really, Kass did a poor job of not rubbing salt on the wounds when people were going no. And I'm interested to see if she's willing to admit if that's a mistake going into this game, if we're gonna kind of see her tone down a bit with her confrontations, just trying to keep away from the getting so personal, because I think Kass kind of got a little personal sometimes, and not too personal, but just she wasn't afraid to say a scathing. She knew how to cut deep, I think, with her insults and really get under the skin of people, which is a beautiful skill to have if you use it the right way. And Kass wasn't using it the right way.
Yeah, and she does. She gets into it with a lot of people. Like when they first get back after that tribal council where Sarah goes home, she gets in an argument with Spencer. And that's when he kind of dismisses her strategy, says it's laughable and it's embarrassing. And she gives that quote where it's the Alliance 6, let me go to the bottom, and the number one rule of Survivor isn't to cater to the person on top, it's to wonder about the person on bottom. And I think when that quote right there she was viewing herself on the bottom of that Brains group, when I think in reality Sarah was at the bottom of that Brains group, and they were catering to the person on the bottom. Mm-hmm. But she was upset that they were catering to the person on the bottom and not her, because she had this desire to be catered to.
Or in control. I think she wanted to be the one in control, calling the ultimate bullet shot on that vote, because I think the jealousy really came from when Sarah wanted to seize total control of where the votes were going from, and you really saw that get to Kass.
Yeah, I mean, it really got to her, and I think part of it was just her and Sarah. I mean, I think they had similar personalities. They're very independent, strong-minded women, and she's she's definitely a personality that's just going to want to go in whatever direction that's going to benefit her the most. You know, she says later in that episode, in the episode after where Morgan goes home, she says, "I'm not in an alliance. I'm still a free agent. No one said cash you're in, but there's an assumption that I'm in." And even Tony and Trish said, "Well, who would you want gone next?" And I said, "I don't care as long as it's not me." You know, kind of that Sandra mentality. And she
Yep.
closes it out with saying, "I want to reinforce that so there's no comfort level when I'm ready to come in for the kill." You know, so you're getting quotes from her talking about, you know, she's willing to go whichever way, you know, whatever way the wind's blowing, you know, whoever's going to offer the best, um, you know, the best deal. Uh, you know, and later towards the end, she's talking about loving the blind side. You know, she's definitely someone that's looking to, you know, cause chaos. You know, she has really no loyalty to anyone in the game except herself, and that can be very beneficial in terms of a self-preservation game. Uh, but in terms of a, you know, game that's going to get you the win at the end, it can be very, very bad. You know, understandably, you have to get yourself to the end of the game to present a case to the jury. But if you burn everyone in the jury going into the end of the game, you know, it's kind of a moot point. So, crap. Moving a little bit further in. So now, you know, we go past the Morgan vote. You know, we get all the great quotes of, you know, if you're gonna be cute or ugly, you know, everyone would rather be attractive. You know, just
Can't speak to that one. So
yeah, I wouldn't know. Um,
any cute people, Twitter us at tell us how it is, and
yeah, let us know what it's like to be attractive.
get a perspective
And,
on that one.
We can't really talk to that. So going into the next vote, we've got we have Bag of Tricks, and this is where LJ goes home. And I mean,
I love LJ also. I know he's a boring character to some, but oh man, when Kagian was on first, I really loved LJ. I don't know why. I don't know. Man crush to the max on LJ. I'm comfortable enough to admit that one. I love that guy.
oh yeah, he was great. He was very entertaining to watch. I mean, I liked him, and you know, going into you know, just looking at the LJ as a character, he was really someone that I liked. I had him as someone I pegged, you know, as someone I thought could make a deep run. And, you know, I mean, he made a decent run. You know, he made a push emerge, but he's got that big target on his back as that big physical guy that, you know, anyone's going to have going into, you know, going into a season. But on this vote, you know, Kass is on the wrong side of the vote. She and Trish and Jeffra, they all vote for Jeremiah. LJ votes for Spencer, and then Jeremiah, Spencer, Wu, Tasha, and Tony, they blindside LJ. So in this vote, Kass is on the wrong side of the action. You know, for someone who wants to, you know, pitch something at the end saying, you know, I was in control, I was someone that was, you know, dominating the action of this game, you know, it's not a good look to, you know, be on the wrong side of the boat. And, you know, while, you know, Tony comes back and is like, hey, look, you know, I'm still with you guys. I had to make a move. I couldn't tell you guys, you know, I didn't want you to, you know, blow it up. You know, in typical Tony insanity. She was on the wrong side of this one. And whether that be because of the way she plays and the way she's perceived, it left her out of the action. And, I mean, I think that's something that's going to also get her in trouble going into the game is, you know, Tony doesn't tell her, and granted, he doesn't tell Trish, she's his most trusted ally in the game outside of, you know, along with Wu. But, you know, one of the reasons he probably doesn't tell her and he doesn't perceive her in that same light as he was with, like, when he brings in Spencer and Jeremiah and Tasha, it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's because he knows that she's a wild card. And, you know, there's certain things you can't tell a wild card. And I think that could be something that could get her in trouble in second chances, is that if people perceive her as that wild card, you know, who's going to want to tell her anything? Who's going to want to divulge a plan to her? when they don't know, she's just gonna walk over to the next person she sees and be like, oh hey, so and so's doing this or so and so's doing that. I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of the way I was kind of looking at it a little bit. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Uh, I think Cass is gonna have a problem here building trust for sure, because especially I go back. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I always thought of her more like she's kind of like in between Johnny Fairplay and Jonathan Benner on the scale of flippers, maybe. And Fairplay is not your traditional flipper, but he wasn't afraid to go back and forth on his word with almost anyone, and he made his way through the game, reshaping alliances. And I think Cass didn't expect to run into a player like Tony in her season, who would be willing to also so willingly reshape the game at a whim, and then try to go back, restructure it to his liking, and then reshape it again. I think Cass really thought she could ride out that numbers advantage and then work her way in from there. And when that fell apart, Cass's game fell apart to an extent where she had to rely on the moves of others a lot. And no one's going to want to rely on Cass, I think, going into second chances, unless they absolutely have to. And I'm looking at her tribe, though, and we haven't really talked about who's on her tribe. And she might be seen as someone who can be a piece, because, like, I don't really see all the men aligning with each other. There's going to be some division there, and if she can get on the right side of that division and just be someone who's not a key piece, but is a vote and a number and a body, just like she kind of was to that initial Brains Beauty mashup. And if she can do that and not be seen as someone who needs to be fed information, she should be okay. But it all depends if she can kind of be less hostile. I don't know if people are going to want to put up with who she was in Cagayan for 39 days again. I don't know. I probably wouldn't, and I love her. But it grates on you at a point if you're not into someone who's more of a negative person. Like, negativity can eat at you like a cancer, and Kass wore thin on people on her original season. You saw Trish was done with her by the time she was out the door. And really, Trish and Kass had a pretty good relationship
For quite a
up
while.
until for quite a while, and that's like someone
Yeah.
who's in her alliance, and she still couldn't stand her. So I think it's more the personal connections might hurt her early.
Yeah, and when you look at her tribe, she's got Tosh on her tribe, and you don't know how well. I don't really know what their relationship's like, but she does have someone else on her tribe, like a Kimmy Kappenberg, and you know that Kimmy Kappenberg's someone that can be confrontational,
Mhm.
likes to get into fights. I really don't see any guys that are really really big time argumentative people on her. She's on a tribe with Fishback and Keith and Joe and Jeremy and Savage. Maybe you could see Jeremy and maybe Jeremy getting into it with her a little bit. Jeremy, he can get a
Yeah.
little hot headed at times, and maybe he'll play a little bit different when Rocker's not voting out his wife. Okay, I guess Rocker didn't vote his wife out, but you know what I mean. Um, when he's not getting all ticked off about stuff going on with his wife and stuff. Because outside of that, I guess he remained pretty cool-headed. But I think there's obviously the potential for her to there's always going to be potential for her to get into arguments and get into fights. But I think at least with the tribe that she's on, um, I think she'll be okay. I think if she was on the other tribe, maybe with a Varner or a Vetus or a Terry, or if she's got someone like PG or Abby Maria on her tribe.
I
I
love
think
to
that
see her with Sharin. Sharin and her would be an oddball matchup. That'd be fun. Or
yeah,
even
for sure.
Kelly Wigglesworth.
Yeah, Kelly Wilkesworth, at least from what we've seen, hasn't been very super talkative.
Okay.
Um,
Meh. Yeah, sure.
But
Okay.
I guess when if you go all the way back to Borneo, she gives some confessionals. She gets into that fight with Sue, um, down towards whatever that was, final six, final seven, whenever that was, before they make up and then get pissed off at each other again. Um, but I mean, women fight. It is what it is.
I think I have my water, so I don't need Sue's.
Eh. But
Uh,
so yeah, so we'll we're gonna move this along a bit. I don't want to keep these individual player casts going too long.
too long, yeah.
Um, so we'll bust through these last few votes. So we go into the next vote, the Jeremiah vote. There's a little bit of flirtation that Tony does with the Tasha Spencer Jeremiah side. Nothing really comes of it. Spencer wastes his idol. Kass is on the right side of the vote. It's a 5-3 vote. Jeremiah goes home. Spencer plays his idol, and it's a pretty straightforward vote. Going into the next one, we get some chaos again. This is where Jeffra goes home. Another episode of complete and total chaos. You have the Survivor auction. They have the the showdown with Spencer and Tony going for the clue for the God idol, the Tyler Perry idol. Tony's gonna wrap that up, and going into this Jeffra vote, if I remember correctly, Kass once again on the wrong side of the vote, voting with Jeffra and Trish again. Votes for Spencer. The other guy, Tony, jumps over with the other guys again, blindsides Jeffra. So once again, and we can't blame all this on Kass, because she was playing with an anomaly in Tony Vlachos, who is just an insane human being.
What are you gonna do when Tony comes for you? Like, he was a unstoppable force of nature, and definitely an exception to Survivor players. There's probably not going to be anyone out there like him at second chances, so Kass doesn't have to worry about that. But I bet there will be a player willing to make some moves like Tony. So Kass will have experience navigating someone who's going to try to shake up the game at a whim.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, like you said, Tony's a bit of an anomaly in terms of Survivor players that can jump back and forth consistently, but get away with it. You see people go, jump back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
You think of like all the way back in season 6. Rob Sesternino does it quite a bit, where he jumps back and forth a little bit once he gets the merge all the way to the end before he gets clipped. And you see other examples of it moving forward. You said fair play a little bit. He jumps back and forth a lot before he falls out. So it definitely happens. But
a lot of third place finishers.
Yeah, because they get to the end and they're like, oh, well, I really don't have an alliance, and and not only that, but they make those kind of moves. They villainize themselves a little bit. But I think people realize that now they've made a lot of moves. They've voted a lot of these people out. They were in control a lot of this game. They got to take them out. So if they don't win those final tribals or those final immunity challenges, they get themselves in a bad spot to where they're vulnerable, because while they've been jumping back and forth, burning people and really help controlling the action, they get to the end of that game having burnt so many people, or they don't really have a solid alliance, and they don't have a solid, alliance with someone that's going to say, yeah, I'm going to take you to the end, let's do it. They're at a point where like, oh, I'm the one person that voted every single person out. We shouldn't take you to the end. You're going to kick our ass.
Yeah. Even Rob had Matthew turn on him in the Amazon.
Yeah, because
and Matthew was a close ally to Rob throughout the whole entire merge. Rob used him for a few moves there, and Matthew was willing, saw the light, and was even willing to sell him out at the end.
Yeah, unfortunately for Matt, it didn't benefit him. Granted, no. I don't think he beats Rob either.
No, he just started playing the game a little too late. Too late there.
He starts playing the game really late. But yeah, so let's jump past the Jeffrey votes. I mean, that Jeffrey vote. I mean, that's all Tony. That's Tony being Tony. Spencer playing it with him a little bit. But that's just Tony being insanity again. So Jeffrey goes home, and then we've got another vote. Another crazy normal vote. Tasha goes home. In a 4-1-1 vote. Keeps it very, very simple. Tony had this knack that where one vote he'll act like a normal human being, and then the next vote he just goes bat crap crazy and starts voting and then vote someone else out. And but on this vote it was 4 votes Tasha, Spencer votes for Tony, Tasha votes for Trish. Just another straightforward vote, very simple. And Spencer, really saved himself by winning immunity, and Tasha, unfortunately, was the victim of, Spencer winning immunity. And we go into this next vote where, Trish gets blindsided, and it was another unanimous vote. This was, another one of those things where, it was, I believe this is Spencer winning immunity again.
Yep.
Which led to, because this was the challenge. This was the episode with the big mud challenge that Tony wins in reward, and then the big ladder challenge that Spencer wins, and protecting him on when he probably should have went. And they all decide to go and they vote out Trish. Kass is on the numbers there, and really at this point she appears to be setting herself up very well to be going into that final tribal council. Now granted, they don't know that this is going to be a final 2 season following a string of seasons with final 3s, because I don't believe they'd had a final 2 since Token Teens.
No, they hadn't.
Until then, it had been strictly final 3s before since then. So the final 2 kind of jumped out of nowhere at him. So she's setting herself up, at least at this point, to be in that top 3. Because going into that final 5, unless Spencer wins out, they're not going to take Spencer. So Kass is really seeing herself in a good position. They just have to knock out Spencer. Spencer goes home. Kass is in the final 3. Does she win? I don't know, maybe. It's probably a toss-up between her and Tony. I think Tony still pulls it out. But Kass is at least putting herself in a good spot. Kass does have that immunity win to keep Spencer from winning immunity when Spencer goes home at Final 4. So she has that monster come from behind win. So we do know that, in some challenges where she's got to deal with puzzles, she's a very good puzzle competitor. She's very smart. So we do know that she's not completely useless in the challenges, at least in terms of the mental aspect of it. But yeah, so talking about, we talked about, obviously she goes home. She probably should have been in that final 2. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Wu wins that final tribal or that final immunity challenges, but just by a tenth of a second.
So close.
It's that close. And
she probably, I imagine if it was me, I would have slept and saw that flag raise every day in my dreams. And I can't imagine Kass probably saw it even when she was on the beach. Wu celebrating. And I'd be interested to find out, if we ever find out, when Kass kind of realized when Wu was going to take Tony to the end, if she ever realized it before the votes were read. If it was kind of sprung on her, I don't know. But because in that moment, she might have still thought she was going to the end with Wu, maybe had some hope, but she probably relives that moment over and over again now. I know I would.
Yeah, you would think, and I think you see the reaction on her face when, Wu goes and votes her out. She looks surprised, and I think everyone's surprised, because you're like, how do you take Tony?
Yeah.
Even when you watch the final tribal and they, and the editing tries to make it look like Tony might not win, that there's no way that Tony's losing that game. And so, you see the surprise on Kass's face at that final vote. It's the same surprise that I think most of the viewers have on their face. You're like, really? You're not going to take, Kass to the final?
Yeah.
But let's like jump into the alternative universe for a second. If Kass wins that immunity challenge, which is very plausible, obviously, since she only loses by about, a half second.
Yeah.
If Kass wins that immunity challenge, she talks about earlier in the season about potentially taking Tony to the end as her Russell Hantz, as her GOAT. Does she stick with that, or is she at a point where she realizes that Tony's going to be really tough to beat? Does she take Wu?
She takes Wu.
Or does she take Tony? Because she talks about taking Tony throughout the season. I don't know. What do you think?
She takes Wu, and I think the hints are there. She kind of I'm trying to remember what tribal council was. I think maybe after Spencer goes home, she even goes to Wu, cuts the deal, and I think at that point she kind of realized that Tony had kind of controlled the game better than she had. He was really the person that, even though he had pissed off some jurors, that he was going to win the game. And I think Kass kind of realized that. And even though she is a very articulate individual, I don't think she could have argued against Tony's overall game and the mastery he really showed using idols, able to go back and forth and still maintain relationships. I think Kass kind of saw the writing on the wall, and she goes to Wu, and she kind of says to him, I forget what she says exactly, but it's like, hey, we don't really got a chance here. Well, I'll take you, you take me. Let's go. And I think she takes Wu. And I don't know if I don't know, do you want to go into the jury votes if we think Wu beats Kass?
Well, yeah, we can. But I mean, do you think she goes to Wu as like legitimately making the deal to do that, or is she going to Wu to cover her bases because she knows that Wu has the potential to win a challenge? Because he does win a few immunity challenges. Is she doing that to cover her bases? And to at least get the pitch that idea to Wu. So if Wu does win immunity, Wu's got that idea that, oh, I can't beat Tony, I have to take Kass. Is she planting that seed in his head to try to make sure that she has a way to go to the final tribal no matter who? Because is Tony going to take Wu, or is Tony going to take Kass? I think if Tony wins that, I think Tony's going to take Kass.
Yeah. I think Kass is doing that, but I also think Kass is a little more sincere with her deal with Wu. I think she is covering her bases, but
and I think that's good. I think that's a good move on her part.
Oh, it is. It's good gameplay.
And it doesn't work, because Wu's, I love Wu, but Wu's not the greatest strategic player.
Yeah, poor decision maker.
Poor decision. $1 million decision.
But Kass, she wouldn't have fared well against Tony just because they were kind of. I think Kass was envisioning herself as playing an aggressive game that Tony kind of played, and she kind of fell flat in that regards. And she really only had one big moment to hang her hat on against Tony, who had a highlight reel. You could get him a top 10 on ESPN. I don't have ESPN, so I was trying to think of. We have SportsCenter here and TSN.
Yeah, TSN.
Yeah.
So let's look over really quick. Let's just go over. So if Wu wins, Wu still, or would you want to say if Kass wins and takes Wu?
Yeah.
Or if Wu wins and makes the right decision and takes Kass. Either way, if it's a Wu Kass final travel.
Tales from a Survivor multiverse. Here we go.
So first jury member, Sarah. Sarah voting for Wu, voting for Kass. I think that's simple. Sarah's voting for Wu.
Yep.
Morgan. Probably voting for Wu.
Wu, yeah.
LJ.
I could see a Kass vote.
Yeah, because I mean, Wu and Tony are the ones that flip on LJ. I think LJ would probably vote for Kass. Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah votes for Wu. Because
is that
Kass is
vote
one of
up
the.
for sale? Is that vote up for sale, you think?
It might be a little bit, but I mean, Kass did burn him. He was in that group with them on that Apari tribe after the tribe swap.
Yeah. We'll
So
give it to.
Jeremiah definitely does get burned, and if he's still pissed off at her about that, I could definitely see Jeremiah. So that's 3 votes for Wu. You got Jeffra, who gets blindsided by Tony and Wu.
Uh,
So
Want to
maybe
give throw
Jeffra
her a
votes for
Cass.
Kass.
Yeah.
Tasha, is Tasha going to vote for Kass, or is Tasha going to vote for Wu? Tasha is the only person to vote for Wu at the normal final tribal council against Tony. Um, so are we going to say that's another Wu vote?
Uh,
Especially after Kass has burned her?
I know Tasha had her reasons for voting against Tony, so I think that was more of a vote against Tony
So
than a
even
vote
if we throw her
for
that
Wu.
one, if we throw that vote on her and say, okay, that's a Kass, Trish is voting for Wu. Especially the way going out of the game with how much
Yeah.
she loved Kass, and Spencer's not voting for Cass.
No.
Um,
So yeah, I don't know if
Either
Cass
way,
does.
I think Wu wins. I think Wu wins in a Wu versus Cass matchup.
Unless
Uh,
Cass really gives like the Martin Luther King of final tribals like jury speeches, like
yeah, I mean, unless
she
she goes in there and gives like a Todd like final tribal council
yeah,
performance, which I
and
don't think
just
she has. I don't think she has it in her. I don't think she's got the capability to flatter the jurors. She's got that I'm not going to take any crap and I will give you crap back kind of mentality. I don't think
she's
she's
more
going to.
John Robert than Todd Herzog. For going China references.
If we're going Shine references for sure,
Yeah,
I don't think she's gonna be maybe more like Twyla. I mean, I think she's obviously a lot smarter than Twyla
yeah.
from Vanuatu, but I think she would go in there guns and blazing,
But
just telling people to go screw themselves.
Twyla though also made a similar move to Cass, flipping on her majority alliance. Kind of gave Chris the was kind of the person who told Chris talk to Eliza. Eliza's the
Yeah.
key. And so Twyla kind of played a key role, much like Cass, in the demise of the majority alliance of that season.
And
So
yeah, and that move, while it got her into the final tribal council, it didn't win her the game.
no,
Um,
and it wouldn't probably have won Cass the game either.
I mean, yeah, when we go through those votes, I mean, I think we figured it out pretty easily. Uh, I think even if we give her a couple of those maybe votes, there weren't really any definitive votes
For her, no.
for her. There were a few maybes that we just kind of tossed to her. I really think that if she goes into that final tribal against Wu or Tony, I think she loses. Um, yeah, I think a lot of it stems from that flip that she does at the merge. It burns too many people too quickly, and when she doesn't take the time to really mend those fences, she continues to be not so pleasant towards these people. It really hurts her.
I'd never hire Cass as my public relations manager. Terrible, terrible job fixing up those relationships, and I wonder if she's gonna be able to really be accepting of her flaws in her game the first time, or if she's just gonna go out there, Cass, Chaos Cass, full tilt, and just try to play the same old game. Probably won't go well for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's smart enough to at least know that her game didn't work, but at the same time, she didn't get to go into that final tribal council and really feel the wrath of a jury against her. She may not know completely, how much the game she played didn't work. Um, and so maybe she won't make any adjustments. Maybe she will go play in the same. I'd like to see her go in and make some adjustments. Still be a little bit confrontational. Still give us the good quotes. The good confessionals. Still give us some good TV. But maybe play a little bit more low key, and then make some good moves. Still make some big moves, but a little more subtle, a little bit less. Personal and aggressive, and some moves that aren't going to scorn the entire jury in one foul sweep. Um, So I'd like to see her make some adjustments. I think she's smart enough to watch the tape and see that she needs to make some adjustments. But once you get thrown out on the island, and you're lacking food and you're with all these people, you go back to your basic instinct.
Yeah.
So I think that even if she goes into it wanting to make some changes, it could be tough for her once she gets out there because you're going to go back to what you know. And if what you know is confrontation and wanting to be in control, that's going to get her in trouble. Um, so really quick, so we're looking at doing a power rankings podcast tomorrow with you and Dylan. Um, so having you being involved in the podcast, let's just get from you. Where do you think Kass is going to land in this season? Where do you think she's going to be ending up in second chances?
Uh, as for my power rankings, I won't get into that because that's going to be based on probably first week of safety, who has the greatest chance of staying around the first week. But
Well,
overall,
do you think she's going to be pretty low in those power rankings that first week?
yeah, I think the longer Cass stays in the game, the better chance she has. That's I'm gonna stop because that sounds really dumb. The longer Cass,
Oh,
if
no,
Cass can get
I
through the
think it makes sense.
if Cass can get through the first couple votes, her equity improves, and I think if she can get through two more votes, it improves a little more, and then it comes to a point where she can only damage her equity, just like she did in Kagayana. If she can get to the merge, she's a very she's not gonna carry a huge threat, but it's
Right.
before the merge. And
Or even
so,
before a tribe swap.
yeah, so I'm going to have to say don't like her chances, and it's sad for me to say that. I really don't foresee her making the merge. I don't see her muddling up someone's plans. I don't see her really taking it back to Spencer. I think Tasha Fox gets her revenge, and Cass goes in the first couple boots before we ever get a swap or a merge.
So I'm gonna make a little bit of a bolder prediction here.
Oh,
Uh,
nice, nice.
so if this season played out like Heroes versus Villains, where there's no tribe swap, um, I think that she would go before the merge. I think that she would get taken out early, simply because both, unless one tribe just absolutely, like, she's on a tribe that absolutely just decimates the other tribe,
Yeah,
uh,
doesn't see tribal for a long time.
or maybe only sees it once or twice and she's in the numbers. Um, I think there's going to be tribe swaps. I think people are going to get switched around a lot. Uh, and I think if she can avoid, the first couple tribal councils, or just stay out of trouble the first couple tribals, which she could. Looking at her tribe again, she's on a tribe with Kimmy Kappenberg, uh, with Sierra, with Tasha, Monica. I could see someone like
Yeah, not
Tasha being a
this.
target, because Tasha's someone like who's a big threat, not only strategically, but physically. She's a good challenge beast, and they might keep her on for that. But I could see maybe her, maybe Kimmy, I could see Sierra or Monica. I could see all four of the girls going up. If one person puts their first, puts their foot in the mouth, or is over strategizing, I could see any one of those girls going. Or I could even see someone like Jeremy or something like that, trying to get back at Keith for screwing him over a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, there's a little bit of stuff going on there. I could see her lasting a couple, and I really do think that if she can get past the first couple votes, and there's some kind of tribe swap after the first few votes, once the game mixes up, people are going to start targeting the bigger targets, because when you get that tribe swap, they're gonna start taking out people that are gonna be bigger threats. So say she gets on a tribe swap and she's got, and say she's in the minority or she's in the majority, either way, and you got people like, say, like a Terry Dietz or a Vetus or Spencer, or there's some of those bigger targets in the game, at a tribe swap on her tribe. She could be in a good spot to, just say, hey, I may be, a little bit, hard to trust, or whatever, but you can't keep these people in the game. You can't keep a Terry in the game or a Joe in the game or a Spencer in the game. These are people you need to take out before we get to the merge. And then once you get to the merge, I mean, unless you get like some kind of pagonging from one alliance just taking out everyone, she's on the wrong side of it. I can't see any reason why she doesn't go deep. Because the men are going to target each other, they're going to take each other out, and these All-Star seasons have a funny way of just being dominated by the women because the men have their little macho fest where they have to go after each other.
And I expect to see the same again. And so if that happens, I think you're probably knocking on the right door. And Kass makes that deep run if she can get through those first couple votes. And I just worry, though, that she has so much, like, animosity built up towards her. Just, like, not towards, like, certain people, but just, like, her whole persona itself, that it would just be easier for everyone to be like, hey, let's get rid of Chaos Kass first vote. Let's go. It's like, hey, we're here. Especially we heard about that twist, Nico, where you just rushed off after Tribal Council. That doesn't benefit someone like Chaos Kass, I don't think. I don't think that plays into her cards at all.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, maybe she's lucky and she's on the tribe that wins the first trial, the first immunity challenge. We don't know what's going to happen with that yet. And I do definitely see the potential of her being someone that goes off, first or second. But if she, like I said, she finds herself on the right side of the vote for the first couple votes, or just doesn't get voted out, I really, really see her having top 5 potential and maybe top 3. I could see her in that final tribal council.
Can she win?
I think it's going to be hard. If she can do some, course correction in the way she plays, and she can make adjustments. She's definitely smart enough. She definitely knows, at least in terms of the game of Survivor. I think she understands. Maybe not. Maybe she didn't have the timing down quite in terms of when to flip, obviously, because it really, really screwed her. Maybe she makes a move like that, but she does it later in the game when she's not burning as many people. And so say she's at final 6 or 7 or something instead of, 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And then she flips on an alliance because she's at the bottom of it. Burns some people, but only burns a couple people, goes in that final tribal council. And now she hasn't scorned 2/3 of the jury. And then maybe she can win because maybe she goes with a couple people that didn't do a lot. She flips to a side that hasn't done a lot. She controls that vote. She controls that action. She goes with a couple of those people that were, desperate for her vote to, swing the action. And maybe she can get a win. I don't think she'll win. I think if she does go to the end, she's probably not going to win. But I think if she, makes a couple course correction, just slightly adjusts, when to flip.
She has potential.
She has potential because I think she's very smart. I think she understands the game. She's definitely got the mind to make the moves. It's just going to be a matter of can her social game improve, and can she not scorn the entire jury while she's out there.
I can't wait to see it.
It's debatable. I think she's gonna be fun to watch. I think she's gonna be someone who is just going to be great television while she's out there. Whether it be
Get your popcorn ready for Chaos Kass and everything she's gonna bring to this season for as long as she's out there.
Yeah, whether it be one episode or the entire season, I think she's going to give us great TV no matter what. She's going to give us great confessionals. She's going to rip some people in confessionals. I'm waiting to hear her talk about. I want to see her on a trial with Spencer again, just so she can berate Spencer again.
Oh, she's gonna have a day with Joe. I can just see her really tearing one into Joe and the whole like pretty boy image Joe has. I just like she's gonna like say something about his hair and like what animal does she relate somebody to first is what I'm curious to see. She did it to Sarah, called her a dog. I think like an old female dog. So maybe Joe gets like an old horse
Didn't she? That was Morgan though. Wasn't that Morgan?
Oh,
Didn't she call
sorry.
Morgan for lying around and she's
Yeah,
like a dead dog that's just lying around? Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, sorry, Morgan. Yeah, so I'm interested to see who gets referenced to an animal first, and what type of animal, how old the animal is, and if they're still alive or not. Chaos Cass she's tons of fun. And I
I
know
want to
we
see her
kind of.
get into a confrontation with Cammy Kappenberg. That's what I
Oh,
want to see.
that would be good too, and I hope Chaos Cass. She's a super fan, I think, of the show, and I hope she waves the finger in her face. That would be
Oh,
hilarious.
that'd
And
be
if
gold.
anyone would do it, it'd probably be Chaos Cass. Get that finger wagging, and
If not her,
oh man,
Shereen, if they run.
yeah.
Imagine
I
Shereen
just
just fangirling with the finger. Oh.
yeah. Oh man, I just can't wait for Chaos Cass. So I know I'm not high on her, but I'm a huge fan, and really excited to see her play again. And so soon after Cagayan, only like a year and a half since their season aired.
Yeah, because we're going to 31, so we had San
Yeah,
Juan Sur and Worlds Apart film, and so Kagayan filmed a couple years ago now, because 29 and 30 obviously
yeah,
filmed together. So yeah, it's been a couple years now. Yeah, so she's had a little bit of time to reflect, and she's had some time to adjust and figure out what the flaws were in her game and what she can make some adjustments to. Um, but yeah, so I think we both, I think just concluding it, just wrap this up. I think we both love Cass as a
big
character.
fans, big
I think
fans.
we love her as someone who's going to give us awesome confessionals. She's going to entertain us. Um, is she going to win the game? I think we both feel like she's probably not going to win the game. I think we both see her. You think she'll go early. I think she's going to go deep. But I think we both can see both ways happening. She definitely
Yeah,
one of those players that's got. Uh, she has upside from one side to the other.
she
Um,
really does. She
her
really has
floor is just as low as her ceiling is high.
yeah, such a
Um,
wide range of possibilities for where she could finish, where she could end up, and she really, I think she can control her fate a bit, but we'll see.
so I think we'll get. I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna
Yep,
just say, coming to Cass. I say thumbs up on Cass. Definitely a
I agree.
must-have for this season. Definitely a must-have for the cast.
Great
Uh,
casting on Cass.
Excellent on Cass. We love Cass. We're two thumbs up on Cass. So we're gonna play the music out and we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks to everyone who joined us here tonight. We've had one viewer the entire night, so thanks to our one viewer. It's
Uh,
probably Dylan. Uh,
Probably Dylan. Shout out to
probably,
Dylan.
shout out to Dylan if you're out there watching. To anyone else who came on and watched a little bit on whether it be here or YouTube, we appreciate it. If you're not following us on Twitter, we are at Island Talk WNH. If you have any questions or you want to, just give some questions to the show, our email is islandtalkwnh@gmail.com.
And
You
you,
can,
oh,
you can
sorry.
email us there. What were you gonna say?
Follow me too at DanBall44. Hook me
At,
up, guys.
yep, and if you want to follow me specifically on Twitter, you can do so at the Wisdom Pickle. Um, There's a funny story about that, and maybe I'll tell it one day. Um, but yeah, so follow us on Twitter. Follow us on, shoot us an email. Give us some questions. We want to we want to interact with the fans, and
or
hopefully we'll
or
have
get fans. Or get fans. That would be nice too.
or we'd love to get fans too. So share us with your friends.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do some more podcasts this week. Hoping to do power rankings. Um, Hopefully at some point we might be able to get a couple castaways on the show. We may or may not have something coming up soon, so just keep an eye out for that. And otherwise, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Dan, thanks for coming on with me tonight. I know it was late.
Oh, no
Um,
problem.
it was kind of a last minute thing, so we appreciate you coming on. We being me and my apparent other personality. So thanks for coming on with us tonight. And I'm schizo again. And we're just going to play it out. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you have a great night. And see you later. Peace.